So if you've ever flown with me in the traffic pattern, you know that I love asking the pilot flying when we get to right here beam the numbers and they pull the power and they start coming downhill, base and final. Right in this area here, I love asking them, how's it look? Look at the runway. Now how's it look? Okay, how about now? And what I'm really fishing for is the pilot happy with their airspeed and their glide path? Or are they just coming around the corner and hopefully figuring it out here on short final, which is way too late to fix any problems of being fast or slow relative to the airspeed you want, or high or low relative to the glide path you want. We're looking at that the whole entire time around here. So that's what we're going to look at in this video, is looking at our airspeed and our glide path and the most efficient control inputs used to fix those problems and have a nice stable approach coming to the runway. So to begin with, I wish I could take credit for this, but I don't remember if it was a document, a video, something on the internet that kind of outlaid these we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different scenarios, 9 different combinations of our airspeed and glide path, and what the best control input is to fix them. If anybody knows where that is or can find it on the internet, please put a comment in so we can give credit where credit's due. Really, all we're trying to figure out is how's our speed, how's our glide path. Let's say we're in a 172 and we're wanting to be at 70 knots at any given particular point in our coming around the corner on base or final. Well, if you're doing 70 knots and your glide path looks good, glide path looking good by being the VASIs or PAPIs, could be the glide slope if you've got an ILS, and it could just be eyeballing it, looking out the runway. If it all looks good, don't touch anything. Stay out of the airplane's way. Let it do its thing. If your airspeed's good and you're low, just simply add power. This is getting into the whole debate of pitch for airspeed, power for glide path, or is it power for airspeed and pitch for glide path? In the little piston-driven propeller airplanes we have, you'll find that pitch for airspeed is the fastest input and power for glide path is the fastest correction. Think about like stall recoveries. But they do work together, and we'll see that as we go through here. So if your speed looks good, you're 70 knots, but you're just a little low, add a little bit of power. That should arrest the descent rate, keep the airspeed happy right where it's at, and keep coming down the runway. Airspeed's good, but you're high, obviously just reduce power. Increase your descent rate. Once it's stabilized, hopefully you don't have to mess with the power anymore. Once you make that correction, then you're going to kind of fly for a second or two and you're going to sample it, and maybe you pulled out too much power. So now you end up being low. Well, you'll have to feed a little bit of that back in. Similarly, if you're fast and your glide path is okay, well, we can fix our airspeed by pitching up. But that's going to balloon us way up and get us off of our glide path. So you may have to reduce the power slightly. How much? It's one of those whatever it takes kind of moments. If you're fast and you're low, just simply pitch up. Okay? Solve 2 problems at once. We're going to scrub off airspeed, and I'm going to get away from the trees just simply by pulling back a little bit and retrimming. If you're fast and high, well, you're going to have to pitch up to scrub off the airspeed, and you're going to have to pull out power a little more than you would have here to keep your glide path, or get back on your glide path that you want instead of being high. And lastly, if you're slow and your glide path is okay, well, you need to pitch down to get some speed, think stall recovery, but that may very well put you into the trees, so you may have to add just a little bit of power. How much? Whatever it takes. Don't stare at the RPM gauge or the tack or the manifold pressure. It's really just kind of a feel thing at that point. If you're slow and low, then you need to pitch down to avoid stalls, but now you really are going to be killing squirrels, so you need to add even more power to arrest that descent rate and get you to the runway. And if it looks really bad, obviously full power and a go around is always an option. If you're slow but you're high, you can fix that with one control input. Just lower the nose. Solve two problems at once. So that's a lot of riding for something that's pretty simple, but I have seen pilots really struggle with trying to get on their speed and their glide path, and they're working the yoke back and forth, they're working the power back and forth, and the whole stabilized approach just goes right out the window. Make a little adjustment, sit back, get out of the airplane's way, and see what it's doing. Trimming for hands-off flight, obviously, coming around all phases of flight. Hope that helps. Hope it makes sense. If you have any questions, comments, or smart remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks.